Hello guys, welcome back to yet another episode of Content Monsters, and in today's episode we are going to review the new iPad. Yes, the iPad Pro, which has been launched in the last week of October. We finally lay our hands on it. Let's see what we have here. The iPad Pro continues to be the ultimate tablet powerhouse, thanks partly due to this absolutely smashing screen that we have, easily one of the best features of the iPad Pro, and also due to some of the changes in the form factor that are best suited only to this tablet. Now, if you see from a very microscopic lens, you'll realize that Apple has not changed too much in this iPad Pro as against its predecessor from 2021. Basically, they've just swapped the chip. The M1 gets replaced by the M2 chip and a few software changes, and that's about it. It does have a hover feature though above the screen, which can now house the Apple Pencil, and I think that's quite a unique feature because that clearly makes it the tab of choice for people who want to use the iPad to scribble and draw. You have this pencil which fits itself over here. It gets charged while it's here, and very easy to take it off and use it on your iPad. This pretty much firmly establishes the iPad Pro as the ultimate drawing tablet of choice for users across the globe. Now let's talk about some of the features and the highlights of this new iPad Pro, starting with the price. Now this iPad Pro is a 12.9 inch, and this one starts at 1,12,900 rupees for a 128 GB storage and no 5G support. Now, if you want to increase the storage and if you want 5G, you obviously have to shell out a lot more money, which will make it completely unviable. Now, obviously 128 GB might sound to be awfully low storage for a machine this powerful, but like I said, this configuration itself is so costly that if you keep on adding features, you only keep on making a dent in your pocket, because the Apple Pencil is also something you need to buy separately. This is a second generation Apple Pencil, and it's perfectly compatible with the iPad Pro. Add to that the fact that some people prefer using this with the Magic Keyboard, which itself is fairly expensive, and you clearly know how much you're spending for a product of this nature. It's available in 128, 256, 512 GB, 1 TB and 2 TB. It's only available in silver and space gray colors. So clearly this biggest and this beast of a tablet, the iPad Pro, is actually only suitable for pros who can use this to write off some tax expenses, and not for general home users who are looking for a more generous screen for videos or for drawing. The design of this iPad Pro is very, very sleek and thin. This ultra sleek design makes it very comfortable to hold, despite this being a 12.9 inch iPad, and the touch and finish of this iPad is impeccable without a doubt, like most Apple products is. There are fairly slim bezels, as you can see on the sides of the screen. These bezels are though slightly bigger than those on the iPhone 14, but you're actually fine with it, because when you have a tab so big, you need those bezels to hold it in your hand comfortably. On one of the flat edges is this place where you can magnetically charge the Apple Pencil. It also has the volume controls here, and among the smaller edges you have the USB-C for charging, and you also have 2 speaker slots. On the other smaller bezel, you have the power on off button. You can also switch on or activate the iPad with this button, and you can directly tap on the screen and activate it as well. It also has 2 speakers on the same bezel as the power on off button. On the front, next to this shorter bezel which has the power on off button, you have the front facing camera, which is also the Face ID camera, and that's the only grouse or gripe that you have with the design of the tab, because typically you tend to hold the tab this way and your finger is on that camera. So then invariably you end up typing the password to get access instead of using the Face ID, because for the Face ID you literally have to use it like this and not like this, which is the standard and comfortable position to use the Face ID. So that clearly is a design flaw in the iPad Pro, which one would have expected Apple to avoid, since they are so particular about the design. But otherwise, by and large, clearly it's a design marvel. It continues to be very aesthetically designed, comfortable to use, and like I said, overall one of the best and sleekest finishes to a tablet. Samsung doesn't even come close to this, how much ever they're trying hard with some of their latest tablets that they've launched. And while this is equally compatible with the Magic Keyboard as well, there is one problem though. If you add the Magic Keyboard to this, then the weight difference between this and the MacBook Air diminishes significantly. And one of the reasons why you would want to use the iPad Pro over the MacBook Air is because of the fact that it is lighter in weight. But if the weight increases by adding the Magic Keyboard, then what's the point of using this? So that to me is a bit of a concern. I am not using the Magic Keyboard on this. For me, the Apple Pencil is good enough for an iPad like this, because if I were to add the Magic Keyboard, then what's the difference for me between this and the MacBook Air that I anyway use? So now moving on to the next set of features, let's talk about the display and the Apple Pencil. Now the mini LED screen in the Apple's 12.9-inch Pro tablet remains unique in Apple's range of tablets. Apple refers to it as an XDR display, implying that it's like an HDR, which is a high dynamic range screen, but even more extreme. And to be fair, when compared to other tablets or the vast majority of laptop screens, they're not wrong. The XDR display is a bright and pin-sharp resolution, almost 264 pixels per inch. It's a masterpiece, delivering beautiful and accurate colors and dazzling brightness in HDR applications, and more importantly, stunningly inky black tones in all applications in spite of the display technology at work. Now the advantage of the mini LED is that it uses a dense thin layer of tiny LEDs directly behind the LCD panel, and these tiny lights are grouped into dimming zones, each of which can turn down its light so that dark tones can truly look black instead of the deep grey you tend to get from less advanced LED screens. And yes, of course, it's clearly one of the biggest screens that any iPad has. The canvas that it gives you for drawing applications, or even the space that it gives you for music tracks, cannot be overstated enough. And most importantly, it's awesome, it's beautiful, it's stunning for video as well. I saw the recently released Avatar trailer on this iPad, and believe me, it's clearly an experience for the senses. Now moving on, let's talk about the specs, performance and the camera. Well, the key highlight, as we all know, in this iPad Pro is the M2 chip, which is an absolute beast and a monster. It possibly gives so much power to this iPad Pro that we might not be able to even use the power that it affords to this machine. It includes an 8-core CPU featuring 4 high-speed performance cores and 4 energy-efficient cores. Pair that with 8 GB of RAM with the 128 GB, 256 or 512 GB versions, and 16 GB of RAM in the 1 TB or 2 TB versions. The camera in this model is completely unchanged from the past, except for its ability to record ProRes videos for the first time. The rear has a 12 megapixel camera and a 10 megapixel ultra-wide camera using the LiDAR sensor. The LiDAR sensor can be used for fast autofocus and can also be used for 3D scanning with a lot of apps. The rear camera can shoot up to 4K 60 FPS videos, while the front camera is limited to 1080p HD videos up to 60 FPS. The front camera is also used as a Face ID. The front camera also looks great for video calls, especially compared to other tablets and even to some of the laptops. So to that extent, even for Zoom calls or Google Meets, I think iPad Pro does a fairly good job and actually ends up replacing your laptop as well. The iPad Pro comes along with the iPadOS 16.1, and that brings along with it the Stage Manager. Now, as a reminder, the Stage Manager lets you have up to 4 apps open in one group at once with overlapping resizable windows. Now, apart from the Stage Manager, the ability to send scheduled messages in the Mail app is massively welcome, as is the Weather app. Now, the ability to edit and unsend iMessages can also be really useful if you use the platform professionally as well as personally. Now, let's talk about the battery life. I mean, Apple claims that it has up to 10 hours of battery life with light usage, with certain apps and videos also playing along with it. Now, we've tried it for a couple of days, and even when we pushed the usage with a lot of videos, I think we could easily sustain up to 9 or 10 hours. So to that extent, I think what Apple is claiming is what exactly is the battery life as far as the iPad Pro goes. I don't have any issues with the battery life at all. I think 10 hours for a light to medium to sometimes heavy usage of this tablet is a fairly good battery life, because when you have so many gadgets at your disposal, I'm sure someone who has an iPad Pro will still continue to use a smartphone. So this would typically end up lasting him the whole day, which is what one would want from a tablet. If it can extend the whole day and you have to charge it only once during during the night. So I would give a thumbs up to the battery life for the iPad Pro. Now the big question, whether one should buy the iPad Pro or not. Now whether it comes to any task that any tablet can do, there's nothing that the iPad Pro cannot. It's easily one of the most powerful tablets that any brand has created, and it's far ahead of its closest competitor Samsung. In that case also, it's definitely packs in a lot more power than its predecessor, what with the M2 chip on board. Apple iPad Air also has a lot of the features that reside on this one, but at a considerably low cost. I have a feeling though that the next generation of iPads that Apple will launch will have a lot more packed in than just the more powerful chip that this one has. So therefore, I would advise only home users not to go for it. My overall rating for this machine would clearly be an 8 on 10, more so because I wasn't using the predecessor. I was using an iPad 2 or 3 generations older, and therefore I can feel how powerful this one is. Those who've used the one launched in 2021 may not see that much difference, but they will instantly recognize how efficient this is because of the M2 chip. So that's it from our side as far as the key features of the iPad Pro 2022 are concerned. If you liked our review, please do subscribe to our channel. If you have any questions, do let us know in the comment section below. For many more such reviews, we'll keep coming back. We'll see you soon. Thank you.